Next up on Coast to Coast on Butter and Toast, we take the family to San Antonio. What a beautiful city. The touristing thing was fun, but you know it wasn't long before we found out where the locals eat. Look at the size of these plates, man. These guys know how to do it. I think we're still finishing these. But you know what? We're in Texas. Let's get to that brisket. Hey everybody, welcome to San Antonio, Texas. This is so cool. My name's Marc Gill. This is Marcs on the Grill. Get on down here, guys. So listen, we can't come to Texas on a big family trip and sit here with all of this and smokers and grills and not do a Texas brisket in Texas. So guys, that's what we've got here. Check it out, okay? This is a 14.5-pound prime whole brisket. Now here's what whole brisket means. Come on around the side here. Whole brisket means you've got both the flat and the point, all right? Here's your flat right here. This is the leaner cuts of meat when you go and get brisket at the barbecue shop, all right? And this is your point up here. The point and the flat are two separate muscles that are connected with this layer of intermuscular fat right here, all right? Now, the point is what people make burnt ends out of. There's all kinds of different uses for that. Now, they cook it pretty much the same time, but remember, you got a lot of intermuscular fat, a lot of like juiciness in that point, and not quite as much in the flat. So some people will actually separate the two, which I recommend actually when you pull it out at 165 degrees to wrap it during that stall. Because what ends up happening is that fat that's holding those the point and the flat together becomes a lot easier to work with. So listen, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get this trimmed, all right? We're gonna get all the excess fat off here. Now listen, here's the deal, okay? I figured I was gonna maybe start this video by talking about things like what's right and what's wrong, and here's the Texas way of doing it, here's this way, and I thought to myself, that might be the dumbest thing you've ever done on this show, because here's what I've learned, all right? However it is you decide to cook your brisket, you're right. So instead of saying this way, over this way, over this way, or this way, let's celebrate the different ways that people do it, all right? And what we're gonna do today is we're gonna trim off pretty much all the fat off of this, because here's one of the big misconceptions that's out there, is that fat renders down into the meat, makes everything tender and juicy. It's really not what it does, all right? All the fat really does, in my mind, it's block your rub from actually getting at the meat. That's kind of what it does for me, okay? So, like I said, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start to take all of this fat off, all right? Now, like I said, guys, right way, wrong way, it really doesn't matter. You wanna make sure that your temperature's right, your wood's right, your smoker's right, your tools are right. Now, have a look here. I don't wanna go into that meat, all right? I just kind of wanna start getting that fat off. And like I said, you know, there's no competition this time around, nothing's happening. We just want to have a really, really cool brisket. So instead of me going, I'm making a Texas brisket, how about this? I'm making a brisket in Texas. I like that one better. So come on in here, guys. Okay, so as you're trimming the fat, here's a little hint for you. You're gonna get to a spot right in the middle here where it's tough to get your knife in. So here's all you're gonna do. Slide your hand underneath and pop it up there just like that. So now you can kind of get this started like that. Careful you don't cut too much into the meat. And then pull it up, just kind of run that knife. Point it up just a little bit so you're getting the fat, not the meat. You're trying to get as little of the red as possible. There you go. So just go along and keep doing that in the different areas to get all of that fat in the middle trimmed as well. All right, so that is, that's good. I'm happy with that. We leave a little bit of fat on top just for that flavor to get in there. Nothing more than a 1/4 inch anywhere, but here's what I mean. You can see this a little bit better when it's trimmed. You've got that flat and the point, and now you can see kind of the separation of these two muscles, just like that. You've got a lot more fat up here. All right, so that takes a lot more time to render that fat down into the meat. So sometimes it's a little bit more of a cooking time there. And then you've got that lean cut down here. Now this is the part that people will remove at the barbecue restaurants and make burnt ends out of and go ahead and serve brisket slices from the flat. And you can see that big piece of fat right there. So let's go ahead and just trim. You know what? I'm happy with that. Let's turn it around. And this is what you want to look for here. The back is actually pretty nice. This piece of fat here needs a good trim though, okay? And if you notice here, a lot of times you'll get these from your butcher in the store, and have a look, just along the edge, you get a little bit of graying. That's fine. All you do is just take the tiniest, thinnest layer of that off, and you are right back in business there, all right? Oh, look at this. Boy, this is why you get a prime, guys. Check this out. Look at that intermuscular fat in that brisket. Holy cow, is this gonna be a good one. All right, so let's go ahead and take this right off. Now this giant piece of fat right here, this is going to be on almost every brisket. I hate that we're paying all the money for this, but I mean in a million years, that fat is never going to render down, so just take it right off. There you go. All that's going to do is slow down your cooking time and block your rub from getting at your brisket. All right, so there we go. Get that right out of there. Now listen, we're not going to make burnt ends today. We're just going to cook this all the way through, but if you were going to do that, then you would save separating that point from the flat, like I said, until it's time to wrap. It makes life a lot easier. I'm cool here, I'm cool there. All right, time for a little bit of rub. All right, so here is a little bit of a hint, and make a little mental note for yourself. When it comes time to slice this bad boy in 8 to 10 hours from now, we're doing this up at 275, I think. You're gonna wanna make sure you pay attention to which way the grain is going. The melt in your mouth brisket comes from that guy that knows how to slice it properly. So come here, have a look here. It's a lot easier to see when it's raw like this. Now, first of all, guys, that is beautiful. I love how that looks. You can see perfectly where that point is meeting the flat. Beautiful. A little bit of fat right here just to give that a little bit of flavor, but not a whole bunch, that we're blocking that spice and rub from hitting the meat. But look at the direction of the grain. You see that? That's what you want to pay attention to, you guys. So when it comes time to slice this, a lot of times what I like to do, if I'm not separating the point, is try and cut it as close to here as I can, because then that way I can cut against the grain as much as possible during it. So here we go. It's time for that rub. All right. This is a very basic rub. You've got salt, pepper, brown sugar, onion, cayenne, paprika, all the standard, all the basics. This is your kind of go-to rub. Love it. All right, so here we go. You want to make, now you see the difference, right? If all that fat was still sitting there, this rub would have nowhere to go, man. It wouldn't have any meat to hit. So you go ahead and you flavor the fat, but you're not flavoring that meat. And I don't know about you, but I spent a lot of money on meat and a lot of time trimming the meat and a lot of time looking for a smoker. So the last thing I want to do is smoke fat. I want to smoke meat. I want to rub meat. That's what I'm looking for. So be liberal with this, and you want to catch all the sides all the way down. Guys, this is not a good time to be conservative with spices. Let it go. There we go. Just like that. Now let's turn it over. And remember, you guys, as we're doing this, this is not hard. You can do this. Everybody can do this. This is one of these things that used to be, I gotta tell you, I've been selling smokers and this kind of way of cooking for years and years and years now. And this used to be one of these things where it was like the holy grail, man. Smoking wasn't possible at home. You had to go out and find that little shack, that little place around the corner that only you and 3 other people know about, except for all the other people. And that's how you had to do it, man. But now, it's got so mainstream, so norm, so many people are kind of taking that plunge in that leap to try these big cuts, these fabulous cuts of meat, man, and people are loving the results. So here we go. We are perfectly rubbed, nicely trimmed, great brisket, nice prime. So here's what we're going to do, you guys. We're going to fire up our pellet grill. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get that on there at 275 degrees, and man, this is going to be good. See you out back. All right, it's bonus tip time. This step's optional. You don't have to do it, but seriously, why wouldn't you? This is where you can inject that brisket with kind of anything of your choice, apple juice, all that kind of stuff. I like to use beef stock, so all you're going to do is get one of those nice big syringe needles, just like that, and you're just going to take it right out of the can, or you can make the bouillon, anything like that, and right in to the fiber. You're just going to start, you see it plump a little bit? Injecting that in there. And what that's going to do, especially on a brisket that we're not necessarily going to cook at 225, which is, sometimes the best for, the tender results, we're going to go at about 275, which, to be honest with you, is the temperature that a lot of guys use at competition time. So anywhere between 225, 275, 300 is getting a bit hot for me. You're cool with that brisket, all right? But the higher I go, I always think it's going to be kind of a little less tender and juicy. So if I'm going to go 275, 300 like we're going to do, then yeah, man, I want to go ahead and do this. It's all over it. There we go. All right, cool. So you're only going to use about half of the broth for the injection, and you're going to save the other half for wrap time at about 165 degrees. So listen, we are ready to get this on the smoker. So for the second time, see you back. All right, so today we're going to use our Traeger pellet grill. If you love to camp, love to travel, love to RV, pellet grills are a great choice because you can get everything done on the road in one package. You don't got to worry about a grill and a this and a that. This is definitely a cool way to go. So let me go ahead and set this guy here, just like that. Now listen, we have our temperature set at 275. That's what we're going to try and hold. All right, so this brisket, I think, is probably going to take somewhere between about 8 and 9 hours. That's what we're gunning for. So let's go ahead, open the smell of that just kills me. All right, let's go ahead and put this right on there. Like that. There we go. All right, now give me 1 second. I'm going to go grab our thermometer. All right, guys, today we're going to use our Maverick XR. This is a go-to. This one's great. It's a wireless transmitter. Really simple. They actually come with 2 probes, one for the barbecue, one for the food, so you can keep an eye on both temperatures at the same time. Today, all I'm worried about is the food, all right? So you're going to take that probe and you're going to put it into the thickest part of the meat. So right about, I would say, there. And we're going to shoot for a temperature today of 165 degrees. That's when we're going to take this out and give it a wrap. 165 is when that stall happens, okay? That's a great time to wrap it, give it a little bit of that broth, and finish that cooking process. So we are ready to go. I'm going to shut this down, and I'm going to go about my day a little bit. We'll see you guys when it's time to wrap this. You know what? We're going to come on live, too. So my guess is you're waiting for the end of this video to come back to us. So see you in a minute. All right, so here we go. The little alarm went off. It's at 165 degrees. That's what I needed to see. So now it's time to wrap the brisket, all right? Isn't that nice? Now don't get too close. I want to make sure that that stays nice and focused. I want everybody to see that. So I got my barbecue gloves. Let's get those on. There we go. Always recommend these, you guys. Don't mess around with it. It just makes life easier. Let's take the probe out. There. So now, 165 is that stall temperature, all right? That's that temperature where everything's just kind of wait, hang out, and just, you know, not move. So one of the ways that you can speed that up is wrapping your brisket, all right? It kind of keeps all the steam in there. It helps it cook a little faster. It helps it stay moist and juicy without a question. But what it also does is help that nice crust form too without getting too dark. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead, build the sides up just like that. And this is a perfect opportunity to add a little bit of extra liquid, moisture, flavor. You can use apple juice, orange juice, people use all kinds of stuff. I enjoy the beef broth that we injected it with earlier, okay? So what this is gonna do is just give it that extra moisture as it finishes that last part of its cooking. Oh, I love that. All right, now, when you wrap this, you can either use tin foil or butcher paper. I prefer butcher paper, but I forgot my butcher paper. So I'm using tin foil. Either one of those is gonna work great, okay? But what you wanna make sure you do, no matter how you wrap it, is make sure you get as many air bubbles out of there as you can, because all that's gonna do is create little steam pockets and make the cooking a little bit uneven, okay? So get as much of that as close to the surface of the brisket as you can get. The bird's happy to see that we're out here. We'll give it one more turn, like that, and wrap it up real good. So there we go. Our brisket is wrapped and happy. And now you're gonna put it right back on and put that thermometer in. All right. All right, so now we're gonna return it to the smoker, just like that. We're gonna reinsert the thermometer right there. Now, before we walk away from this, let me just answer a couple of questions for you, okay? First things first, a lot of people ask about fat side up or fat side down. Honestly, it doesn't make that much of a difference. The only time that it might be a kind of a cool thing, if you have a smoker that's a little bit smaller, sometimes the bottom can get a little bit hot. If you want a protective layer between the meat and maybe cooking that a little bit more than you want to, fat side down is fine, but as far as that whole fat rendering into the meat, make it, you know, not really what it does. So fat side up, fat side down, kind of your call. So let's go ahead and close that up, and we're looking for a temperature of about 203 to 205 degrees. Now, that's a guideline. That doesn't mean it's done. The meat's gonna tell you when it's done. That just means it's time to check. And one of the coolest ways to check, and I can't remember where I saw this, I'd love to call it out, I gotta look into it. One of the coolest ways to check, believe it or not, take a jar of peanut butter, seriously, and either the probe from your thermometer, as long as it's clean, or a skewer. and go ahead and just dip it in there. It should be the exact same resistance and feel as going in to the point of your brisket. Seriously, that's when you know it's done. So that 203 or 205 degrees, that's your guideline. That means it's time to check, but go ahead and do that little check with a stick just to make sure that it's really passing through with no effort at all. So guys, we're gonna see you in just a little bit when that actually happens, and I'll show that to you, and then we're gonna give it a slice. Guys, my name's Marc Gill, this is Marcs on the Grill. We are doing a Texas brisket in Texas, having a good time on the RV. We'll see you in a couple hours. All right, there it is, 203 degrees. Now remember what I said, this is a guideline. That means, hey Mark, come check me. We might be done, all right? But we might not. So remember what I said, there's kind of a neat little test you can do. Now I've done this enough times that I kind of know the feel of it, but if you want a really cool way to check and see if your brisket is done, wait for that 203, 205 degrees, whatever's in there. Then you're gonna go out there and you're gonna take that probe or a skewer and you're gonna push it right into the meat. Now I would go right into the point of it, the fatty part right up here, and it's gonna feel the same as if you took that skewer or that probe and went right into a jar of peanut butter. Seriously. Try it one time, you'll see, you'll never do it another way again, okay? So as I take this out, here's what I mean. When I push this in here, look at that. Oh, that's nice. Just like if I was to put this into a jar of peanut butter, that's the resistance that I'm feeling right now. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Perfect. Try that method, guys. It's really kind of cool. Like I said, can't remember where I heard that, but yeah, I gotta find out and call that again. All right, so the wrap is an important part, you guys. You absolutely cannot skip this step. This is when all of the moisture and all of those juices take a little bit of time and start redistributing all the way through the meat again. That's really, really, really important. If we were to cut that right now, all the juices in the center are just gonna kind of fall out, dissipate, and it's gonna be like sawdust. Okay, so a towel is the best to wrap one of these in, just like that. Now, the minimum, I mean, our bare minimum, you guys, is 1 hour. I recommend anywhere from about 2 to 3. Pop that in a cooler, give it 2 to 3 hours, and you're ready to slice. So we're gonna go do that, and we'll see you back with our brisket in Texas. It's done. Woo! All right, guys, it's been quite a day, man. We've had a good time. We started nice and early. We got that brisket trimmed. We got the fat off of it. We got it injected. We got the rub put on there. It spent a little bit of time this afternoon in our Traeger with all those beautiful, beautiful, beautiful hardwood pellets. We gave it that wrap at about 165 degrees, and then at 200, and I think it was 3 or 4, that guy was ready. We let it rest. And now it's time to dig into this, man. This is what makes all the hard work all worth it. So here we go. Actually, yeah, it's a pellet grill. The work wasn't that hard, I gotta be honest. All right, so let's go ahead, take that off like that, and now, let's get to now. You want to be careful when you unwrap this because at the bottom here is all the good stuff. All that beautiful juicy. You want to save some of that. Here we go. Yeah, I can smell it. Oh, is that beautiful? Look at this. That is really nice. Let me get my gloves on. I love the way brisket smells when it comes out. It's unreal. Get out here. I still haven't decided yet whether or not I want to remove the point from the flat. I don't know yet. Oh, that feels great. Boy, that feels good. All right, let's get it up here, just like that, and let's decide. Let's decide. All right, I have my Manly Paisley knife going here, my camp knife. Yeah, you know what, guys? Let's go ahead and do that. Here, I'm going to swing this around, just like this, so you can kind of get a better eye on it with the camera. And here's what I want you to see, okay? Sometimes people want to remove the point from the flat. It's all personal preference. I keep saying there's no right way, there's no wrong way, there's just really good suggestions, okay? So have a look here. Like I said, this is a whole brisket. That means that you got the flat and the point. So just lightly pull up between the two, and that connective fat is just kind of basically gonna take itself off. Now you can take this this point and cube it up and put a glaze on it, put it back in the smoker for a little while, and then you've got yourself, oh, nice, nice. And then you've got yourself a really pretty, I'm gonna cut this in half, right down like that. And then you got yourself, like I said, some really great burnt ends. So now, I kept saying at the beginning of the video that you want to make sure you're cutting against that grain, and that's what we want to do. So here, the tip is always a little drier than the center. Remember, you got different thicknesses. I can already, look at that smoke ring. Isn't that beautiful, you guys? I love this. Remember, the flat is the leaner portion of meat, and then the point has a lot more of that fat in there. This is perfect, you guys. It's slicing beautifully. Oh, I love it. And remember, guys, no matter what you're cooking, where you're cooking it, or who you're cooking it for, it all comes back to the cutting board. So how about a cutting board handcrafted in the USA by veterans, their spouses, and their families? Guys, Carolina Cutting Boards is 4th generation woodworkers creating the most incredible cutting boards I've ever seen, and no two are alike. Check them out on my website, marcsonthegrill.com. You're really gonna love these, and their team out there can even customize them with anything you want. Best gifts ever. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna kind of give it the hang test. Let's grab a part right out of the middle here. I love this. We're just gonna kind of let this hang right over your finger. You don't want it to fall because that's not the texture you're looking for. What you want to be able to do is just give it a slight tug and it pulls apart. So guys, this brisket, do that again. That's so good. Holy. And that's the lean part. Oh, wow, that's good. I'll tell you what, I'll wipe my hands off here. All right, so if you like your brisket texture a little bit more kind of melt in your mouth, then you're really going to enjoy the point. That's what you're going to like. So again, you want to cut against that grain just like this, and this is where, if you like a little bit fattier of a piece, have a look at this as we cut it, man. There is so much juice and tenderness in this part of this brisket. Holy moly. Oh, and this knife is just absolutely falling right through it. So listen, guys, I think we cooked one of the best briskets we've ever done, and listen, why not? We're in Texas. This is a good place to do it. That smoke ring is perfect. Everything turned out beautifully. The temperature worked with me all the way along. Our results, look at this, are out of this world. Are you kidding me? Look at that smoke ring, you guys. That's what makes it all worthwhile. Hey, I wonder if the kids want some of this.
Yeah, we do.
Perfect. All right, here we go. All right, I'm gonna bring some over. There, we got a good piece too. Follow this. Ready? Ready? It's the brisket cam. There we go. Oh, that's nice stuff. I'm not putting it in your mouth. That's where we keep the kids in the summertime.
Oh my God.
Isn't that incredible? This is so good. Guys, thanks for joining us today. This turned out so great, so perfect. One of our best briskets ever. Texas style, in Texas, with the family, on Marcs on the Grill, going coast to coast, on butter and toast, with the family, the dogs, food, family, fun. We love you guys. We'll see you next time on Marcs on the Grill.